The film begins in the early hours of Christmas Eve, when a mysterious traveler meets with Russian mobsters at their Christmas tree farm. He hands their boss, Oleg, money in exchange for a car key, but as soon as Oleg touches it, he starts coughing up blood, having been poisoned. Oleg's nephew, Yuri, walks in, but the traveler swiftly shoots him dead before setting the farm ablaze. Outside, he opens the trunk of a parked car and leaves a red ribbon on a briefcase inside. Meanwhile, TSA agent Ethan Kopek is with his pregnant girlfriend, Nora Parisi, as they head to work at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX. They talk about their future as parents, and Nora encourages Ethan to reapply for the police academy after previously failing to become an officer. She believes it was the last time he was truly excited about life, checking the mail obsessively and even learning the mailman's name. Ethan arrives late to a meeting with his boss, Phil Sarkowski. Later, he vents to his friend and coworker, Jason Noble, about his lack of career advancement, while Jason, who started 2 months after him, has already received 2 promotions. Ethan attempts to ask Sarkowski for a promotion, but his boss dismisses him, saying he doesn't apply himself. Determined to prove his worth, Ethan gives a passionate speech, and with Jason's help, Sarkowski finally agrees to let him work at the scanners, swapping places with Jason. The Traveler's associate, known as the Watcher, is holding a man named Jesse hostage in a van. Meanwhile, a third associate is gathering information on Jason by stalking his wife, Lorraine, and their twins, even breaking into their home. However, when they realize that Ethan, not Jason, is working the scanners, the Traveler decides to shift their plan onto Ethan. After gathering details about him, the third associate breaks into Ethan's home, while the Watcher monitors everything through surveillance cameras from his van. At the airport, a blue-haired woman discreetly hands Ethan what appears to be a discarded earbud. Soon after, he receives a message instructing him to put it in. When he does, the Traveler's voice comes through, making it clear that Ethan must follow his instructions, or suffer the consequences. Initially, Ethan assumes it's a prank from Jason, but when he attempts to call 911, the Traveler explicitly threatens Nora's life, forcing Ethan to hang up. The Traveler then orders him to lock his phone in the lost and found and comply with his plan, which involves allowing a specific carry-on bag to pass through security unchecked. Meanwhile, LAPD detective Elena arrives at the Christmas tree farm, now a crime scene. While investigating, she discovers a bug hidden inside a broken watch and suspects it could lead her to whoever was responsible for the Russian mobster's murders. She begins working with her partner, Herschel, to analyze and decode the device. The Traveler continues monitoring Ethan while speaking to him through the earbud. When he notices Ethan attempting to send a voice text through his watch, he immediately orders him to stop. Listening closely to background noises through the earbud, Ethan hears the Traveler eating and deduces that he must be at the bar near the arcade. Desperate to get help, Ethan discreetly uses another passenger's boarding pass to write a hidden message with invisible ink for his coworker, Lionel Williams. When Lionel deciphers the message, the Traveler swiftly intervenes, stabbing his hand with a substance that induces a fatal heart attack, causing Lionel to collapse and die on the spot. Ethan is overwhelmed with guilt over Lionel's death, but before he can process it, the Traveler approaches him in person. He coldly blames Ethan for what happened, insisting that Lionel's death was the direct result of his disobedience. The Traveler then reveals that Jason was the original target, and that, had Jason been uncooperative, his wife and children would have been executed without hesitation. Meanwhile, Sarkowski reassigns Ethan to the metal detectors and puts Jason on scanner duty. With the Traveler's contact arriving soon, he orders Ethan to regain his position at the scanners. To accomplish this, Ethan places a spiked coffee near Jason, making it seem like he's been drinking on the job. The Traveler then tips off Sarkowski, who immediately sends Jason home, further damaging his trust in Ethan. As if things weren't bad enough, the Traveler begins manipulating Ethan's personal life, attempting to drag a wedge between him and Nora, while she tries to have a conversation with him over lunch. The Traveler's contact, Mateo Flores, arrives at the airport carrying the package. Meanwhile, Elena continues investigating the intercepted bug message and discovers references to Novichok, a highly lethal nerve agent. Ethan spots Mateo's carry-on at security and notices the Novichok inside, but under the traveler's watchful eye, he is forced to let it pass. Overcome with stress, he rushes to the bathroom to vomit. The traveler follows him inside, confirming his plan to use the Novichok on a flight carrying 250 passengers, all at the orders of his employers. He assures Ethan that both he and Nora will be free once the plane takes off. Meanwhile, Herschel informs Elena about Ethan's aborted 911 call, just as Department of Homeland Security agent John Alcott arrives in response to her report. After reviewing her findings, Alcott joins Elena to head to LAX and investigate the possible threat. At the airport, Sarkowski orders his team to conduct random security searches. Seizing an opportunity, Ethan sneaks past the security cameras and manipulates the system using another agent's clearance to flag Mateo for a search. However, the traveler quickly realizes what Ethan has done. When Ethan attempts to get Nora to safety, the traveler counters by having the Watcher park his surveillance van nearby, aiming a sniper rifle directly at Nora. With no choice, Ethan is forced to abandon her without an explanation. The traveler then ambushes Ethan in the bathroom, leading to a struggle. Ethan manages to disarm him and take his plastic gun, gaining the upper hand. He demands that the traveler call off the Watcher, but instead, the traveler uses his phone to arm a bomb, setting a 10-minute countdown that threatens to destroy the entire airport. Ethan rushes to the office, where Sarkowski is in the middle of searching Mateo. The traveler orders Ethan to shoot and kill Sarkowski, but Ethan hesitates, unable to go through with it. Seeing the opportunity, Mateo swiftly kills Sarkowski by stabbing him in the throat with a pen. Determined to stop Mateo, Ethan chases him down, only for Mateo to reveal that he had no choice. The traveler forced him into this by holding his husband, Jesse, hostage. With only a few minutes remaining, the traveler suddenly instructs Ethan on how to disarm the bomb, and Ethan manages to do so just in time, stopping the countdown with only 2 seconds to spare. Meanwhile, Alcott and Elena are on their way to the airport when Alcott insists that his people have reported no flagged passengers. Suspicious, Herschel calls Elena and tells her that in reality, 4 passengers were flagged and that the real John Alcott is already en route to LAX. The man she's with is actually Ryan Mercer, a former mercenary and the same operative who was gathering intel on Ethan. Realizing the deception, Elena pulls her gun on Mercer, but he suddenly accelerates the car, causing them to veer off-road and crash. In the chaos, Mercer tries to strangle Elena, but she manages to shoot him in the head, killing him instantly. Wasting no time, she commandeers another vehicle and speeds toward LAX. Back at the airport, Ethan and Mateo attempt to move Sarkowski's body into the baggage sorting area. However, the traveler unexpectedly orders Mateo to kill Ethan. Realizing the threat in time, Ethan fights back, and during the struggle, the bomb gets tossed onto the conveyor belts, mixing with other luggage. Mateo eventually gains the upper hand and grabs the gun, but before he can shoot, the weapon overheats and explodes, sending shrapnel into his throat. Mortally wounded, Mateo apologizes to Ethan before dying. Ethan then grabs Mateo's phone and quickly uses it to send a warning text to his coworker, Eddie, instructing him to evacuate Nora and alert airport security about the impending threat. Elena arrives at LAX and immediately works to get the situation under control. Meanwhile, the traveler kills an officer, steals his gun, and goes after Ethan, managing to graze his arm with a bullet. Realizing Ethan is still interfering, the traveler orders the Watcher to execute Nora. At that moment, Eddie and Nora finally decipher Ethan's warning just as the Watcher pulls up in his van. He stabs Eddie in the side, though Eddie survives, while Nora takes off running. Meanwhile, Elena catches up to Ethan and attempts to detain him, but in desperation, he punches her and escapes, determined to reach Nora before it's too late. The Watcher pursues Nora through the parking lot, but crashes his van into another vehicle during the chase. Seizing the opportunity, Nora smashes a bottle over his head and makes a break for the police officers nearby. Ethan finally finds her, but before they can get to safety, the Watcher takes aim, ready to kill them both. Before he can fire, however, Jesse, who has managed to free himself, shoots the Watcher dead. Ethan then breaks the news to Jesse that Mateo didn't survive. While processing this, he also discovers that Mateo had 2 plane tickets, one for New York and another for Washington, D.C. Around the same time, Herschel informs Elena that the true target of the attack is Congresswoman Grace Turner. Turner had previously lobbied for a bill that would benefit private contractors, but it was rejected. The Traveler orchestrated the Russian mob attack to frame them for the nerve gas attack, ensuring public outrage and increasing the chances of the bill passing. Ethan and Nora track the flagged package in flight, but Ethan realizes that stopping the plane from taking off will only result in the Traveler detonating the bomb remotely. Knowing he must disarm the bomb while the plane is in the air, Ethan prepares for the challenge. Meanwhile, Nora finds Elena and convinces her to allow the plane to take off, giving Ethan the chance to sneak into the cargo hold unnoticed. At the same time, the Traveler is spotted by the blue-haired woman, who discreetly hands him a parachute, ensuring his escape plan is in place. Once the plane is airborne, Ethan successfully disarms the bomb, but this triggers an alert on the Traveler's phone. Realizing something is wrong, the Traveler makes his way down to the cargo hold to confront Ethan and eliminate him. However, Ethan reveals that he removed the canister containing the nerve gas, ensuring the attack cannot proceed. In a final struggle, Ethan overpowers the Traveler and shoves him into a vacuum-sealed fridge containing the nerve agent, sealing his fate. The Traveler dies in agony as the nerve gas takes effect. With the threat neutralized, the pilots turn the plane back to LAX after spotting Ethan and the Traveler in the cargo hold. Upon landing, Elena chooses to let Ethan go, recognizing his role in stopping the attack. Ethan reunites with Nora, relieved that it's finally over. Sometime later, Ethan and Nora have welcomed their newborn child, and Ethan has mended his friendship with Jason. The 2 families, along with their kids, are finally going on a vacation to Tahiti, fulfilling Nora's longtime dream. At the airport, Ethan steps up to defend a TSA agent after witnessing a rude passenger mistreat her. Before passing through the scanner, he tosses in his LAPD badge. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.